some of the issues discussed 4 years ago in the final print edition of DIRAP that focused on various aspects of ICT in education. For the viewers, DIRAP, or the Digital Review of Asia Pacific, was launched in 2002 as a biennial publication that reports on the state of practice and trends in ICT for development in Asia Pacific. Now, this e-DIRAP project aims to transition DIRAP from a print publication into a sustainable, collaboratively produced online resource. And the e-DIRAP Hangout is one of the activities that we're doing to get updates and forecasts and bring a diverse perspectives on ICT for development issues. So today we will have a diverse panel on this e-DIRAP Hangout to get this diverse perspective. We brought together different groups of people to look at major developments in the area of ICT in education in Asia Pacific. And we'll be discussing today issues related to the methods and styles of 21st century learning and teaching, the status of professional development of teachers, and the results and impact of recent ICT in education initiatives. So today's Hangout is going to be about 1 hour, and we'll begin with a round of introduction, followed by about 45 minutes of discussion among the panelists. And there will be time for questions from the viewers 10 to 15 minutes before the end of the session. So for the viewers, you can start posting your questions and comments now on the e-DIRAP Google Plus page and also on the e-DIRAP YouTube channel. So now let's begin with a quick round of introduction by the panelists, starting from the far right of the screen. So if you can indicate your name, title, and organization.
I'm Sonam Benjo, working in the only university, ROI University of Bhutan, in Bhutan, and we have around 10 member colleges. And my job entails the education technology, which was recently launched in the ROI University of Bhutan. So I'm basically educational technology of the ROI University of Bhutan.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon. It's actually afternoon here. I'm based in Manila, Philippines. I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Education of the University of the Philippines Open University, or UPOU. As to the name suggests, the university provides distance education programs, and my faculty in particular has a lot of teacher education programs that are offered by distance education. That's it for the moment.
Dr. Naveed, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hey, my name is Naveed Malik. I'm an advisor here at the Virtual University of Pakistan.
Can you hear us, Benjamin? Can you introduce yourself?
Hello. Yes. Hello. I used to work with UNESCO Bangkok in Thailand. Now I'm back in Manila running a small NGO called Knowledge Community.
And we also have on the panel Hajra Saeed. Hajra, are you there? Can you hear us? Chanuka, we can see you now. Chanuka, why don't you introduce yourself?
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad to meet you all after a long time. I see some familiar faces there. So I'll do a very quick introduction. Like I have been in ICT for development for about 10 years now. Earlier working with Christine at UNDP and then at some other organizations. Now I'm working for the Distance Learning Center in Sri Lanka, which is World Bank initiative. So I'm more into the education now. Thank you.
Okay, and Hajra, can you introduce yourself? Just mention that Hajra is a student at the Virtual University of Pakistan. Cannot hear you, Hajra. So now to discussion, since most of the panel is here already. So I'd like to address the first question to Dr. Naveed Malik, who was one of the authors of the ICT in Education section in the last print edition of DIRAP. So in the article that you co-wrote, Dr. Malik, I was particularly interested in the discussion about Asian learning styles and how Western approaches to ICT-based learning and teaching may not be appropriate in this region. And it gives an example where an Asian learner may have a difficult time overcoming his or her traditional role as a respectful listener. So, have there been any changes to Asian learning styles, and what has influenced these changes? And to what extent has ICT in education initiatives taken these changes into consideration?
Fairly comprehensive question. So first of all, let me ask whether you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good, good. Well, actually, there were significant differences found in Asian learning styles versus students in the West, other than this one point that you highlighted, that traditionally we are respectful listeners. We do not question, we do not critique. The sage on the stage remains a sage category, so we would rather listen rather than question. Now, that was the traditional classroom. Our experience at the Virtual University of Pakistan has been that as soon as you go into the e-world, this curtain, the electronic curtain that comes between the student and the teacher, suddenly empowers the student to start asking questions which they may hesitate to do in a live classroom. The second part, that with the advent of the internet and the fact that we have all kinds of learning resources available for free online in the open world, has made a big difference to the behavior of the online learner. They are no longer restricted to a single source of information. They are no longer bound to just listen to the lecture of the professor on screen or whatever, or the written material. They also have access to all kinds of other resources. As a result, their interaction in the e-world, of course, with the professors tends to be a much more richer interaction. Okay, they ask more innovative, more critiquing questions, more in-depth questions. In particular, we've had a recent experience where we almost had a flipped classroom perspective, in the sense that a course that had been fully developed was taken by one of our senior faculty members, and he gave it to his graduate students and said, I've given you a class schedule. You listen to these lectures as per this schedule, and I will hold formal office hours. This was in a conventional environment, by the way, not an e-learning environment. And he said that he announced conventional office hours on a particular day of the week. And he was very, very excited by the fact that the level of discussion went through the roof, in the sense that the students had listened to the lectures, they had reviewed, rewound, looked at additional resources, and then when they came in with a question, it was a much higher quality question. So the discussion was, at a much higher level. We have also seen the same effect in the e-learning environment, where the discussion is at a much higher level, at least for undergraduate classes, as compared to a conventional classroom. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. It's very interesting. So this is related to the learning styles that has changed. I'd like to address my next question to Benjamin. Probably because you're not part of the education institution, although you work closely with them. I'd like to ask you about 21st century skills. Again, this is a Western concept. If you can explain what they are, what are 21st century skills, and do they apply to Asia? And if so, what are the changes that have taken place or need to take place in the education systems to strengthen these skills?
Christine. 21st century skills is a bit problematic, especially in the context of the Philippines, because we don't have a single definition for that. Right now, the Philippine education is revising its curriculum, and it says in the vision that we want to include 21st century skills in the new curriculum, but including it in the actual curriculum is a challenge for everyone, because we don't have a clear understanding on what are the real 21st century skills that Filipinos need. and how do we teach the 21st century skills that are appropriate for our educational, for the needs of our educational system. So it's a, yeah, you can say it's still a Western concept that everybody here in the Philippines and most probably in Asia are grasping in terms of understanding the concept.
Do other countries have this similar challenges, or are they trying to figure out what they are? What are the 21st century skills? From Chanuka or Sonam or Dr. Naveed, whether you have tried to grapple with this issue of what are 21st century skills and how can they be incorporated in the education system?
Well, my comment on that would be that by default, everybody needs to become IT literate. Okay, now what we've seen is an explosion of smartphones and cell phones, especially in the younger crowd. So they are already in a way connected to the external world through text messaging or even through smartphones and connectivity. But the real 21st century skill is the fact that the knowledge is all out there and it is no longer protected. You have to have the skill to be able to find the piece of information that you're looking for and to be able to master the tools necessary to access that information. So that is a very global or a general statement that I'm making. It is context-free, it is subject-free. So anybody who wants to be successful in the years to come needs to have this ability to search and acquire information which is already there available in the public domain.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. I'd like to move on to what's related to this 21st century skill, this transition from education to employment. Because, I mean, a lot of time the reasons for learning is to be able to get better job opportunities and advance and for people to advance in their career. But at the moment there's this crisis in youth unemployment where, according to the International Labor Organization, 45% of unemployed young people worldwide are based in Asia Pacific. And ILO said one of the reasons for this is that there's a mismatch between the skills obtained in formal education system and the skills needed in the labor market. So I'd like to ask Chanuka, how are ICTs being used in initiatives to bridge this education employment gap in this region?
Well, let me share some of my experience, because like I represent the DLC Sri Lanka, which is the local node for the global development learning network of the World Bank, and we have basically our centers in almost every country in Asia Pacific. So I can bring their experience as well. What we do, let me spend a few minutes on to explain what we do, because I think that background is important. What we do is basically normally take learn from the experience of the developing countries, developed countries in the region, mainly China, Japan and Korea, and we deliver it locally. And this is highly professional training. We don't do undergraduate training. This is highly professional training. So by doing that, what we expect is to build the capacities in developing countries. So like, for example, now we have a course on microfinance, where the experts from the developed countries in Asia as well as in the other developed countries educate the participants from the developing countries. So to answer the question, how sorry, Christian, can you again come what was the question?
How ICTs have been used in various initiatives to bridge the education employment gap, because at the moment there's a mismatch between what students are learning in universities. And
I think I have already given you the example. Like, we use the video conferencing facilities to share our experiences, like in different fields, like in engineering, medicine. We have lots of medical courses where the doctors from those countries, and we recently had a good workshop educating the nurses how to act in a disaster. So that kind of thing, like we do it, but this is at a very limited level. We do like that. Other than that, I think the other participants can share some information about e-learning. Like this is something, another thing that I see getting developed in the region.
Thank you. I see Venki has joined us. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, my apologies for joining late.
No
My name is Venkatesh Hariharan. I am the director of Knowledge Commons, and this is a non-profit which focuses on open education, open standards, and open knowledge, and it's primarily focused on policy level work. I have been personally involved in researching the use of open education resources like that of Khan Academy in the
We've lost you, I think.
Yeah, he's been having a problem with his internet connection. Sorry about that.
Okay, I think, does anybody have any other comments on this issue of the mismatch of skills between education, learning, and going into the labor market?
Take a look at the kinds of linkages that are being established between employer groups and industry on the one hand, and universities on the other hand. Like in the Philippines, for instance, one initiative that the UP Open University has been invited to participate in is this supposedly massive e-learning, massive training program for the business process outsourcing industry via e-learning. And that is, I think, funded by the Asian Development Bank. And it involves the Business Process Outsourcing Association of the Philippines, BPAP, and they're asking UP Open University to help them develop these e-learning mode types of training programs for not I think it's not directly the BPO industry, but other universities and higher education institutions in providing training programs for BPO employees or would-be employees. So I don't know if there would be, I mean, the BPO industry is a big industry in countries like the Philippines.
Yes.
And notwithstanding that it does provide employment for large, for many young people, I think that the BPO industry is also finding that that these young people come to them without the skills necessary, without the skills that the industry needs. So that the industry is having to do a lot of training and retraining.
And they're involving universities in this process of this training and retraining.
Yeah, they decided that that one way to do a more systematic, rather than, because the large BPO, the large providers, service providers have their own training programs, right? But they're obviously able to train only those who actually apply for employment in their companies. The Business Process Outsourcing Association of the Philippines has decided that this has to be a more systematic effort across the industry. So yes, so they've decided to involve the universities and colleges, and but it has to be they figure that it has to be an e-learning program, or an e-learning mode type of program rather than a traditional programs.
Okay, yeah, I think this is a good. Let's start now by, we've talked a little bit about learning, and let's look now from what Patricia said about the changing roles now of teachers and teaching, especially at universities. Dr. Malik, I'd like to address this question to you. I mean, many universities have established virtual branches or are providing virtual courses, but your university is exclusively virtual. Could you briefly explain what a virtual university is and how it's changed the way higher education courses are taught?
Thank you, Christine. You've asked a very broad question. Let me give you a brief background of where the term virtual university was coined. And the idea was that there could be a middle broker who would take courses developed by various institutions and then offer them through a portal. That was the original definition of a virtual university, where the university itself would not have ownership of any content, or that it would be creating content. Now, over here in Pakistan, we've done something different. Although our name is the Virtual University of Pakistan, that's a formal title, all of the content produced by the Virtual University belongs to the university itself, all the intellectual property rights. However, other than myself, I also developed a course. Other than myself, all other professors who have developed courses for the Virtual University of Pakistan are not Virtual University staff members. They work at other universities. We invite them on an assignment. So we don't steal them from the other institutions. They come in, they develop a course in detail, and they go away. The university or the virtual university then takes on the management and delivery of the course. So we have an army of tutors who are full-time employees of the university, work sitting in our offices. The course is delivered through electronic means, initially through broadcast television. The virtual university does operate 4 free-to-air channels of its own, but now more and more over the internet. And then all of the interaction, question answers, assignments, quizzes, etc., happens through a comprehensive learning management system. And the examinations are held conventionally, where students have to go to a designated examination center and sit for the exam. Now, if you look at this scenario that I've just given you, what you've eliminated from this picture is the high-priced professor, okay, which in our case, it's not a question of pricing, it is more a question of availability. We have an acute shortage of highly qualified manpower, the type of faculty that you would need to staff a university. Our higher education segment is hopelessly underserved. Even today, in 2013, only about 7% of the college-age cohort actually finds a place in colleges or universities for higher education. And we need to take this figure up to 20, maybe even 40% if Pakistan is to progress properly. So using ICT as a force multiplier, okay, we are taking the talent that's lying in all of the universities of the country and then putting it and making it available through technology to students and knowledge aspirants all over the country, as well as throughout the world, since we have a large number of Pakistani students overseas who are also registered with the university. So the virtual concept really is using technology and sourcing, okay, content, and then making it available to a very wide audience. Now with the advent of many more open courses, like in the MOOCs or the American initiatives, Coursera, Udacity, edX, you name it, we have a large amount of very high quality content available in the form of structured courses, not just snippets of information. So if a university were to take it through its bodies, through its academic councils, we could conceivably induct any one of those courses also into our programs, and it would stay within the ambit of the virtual concept.
I see, thanks. I'd like to talk about MOOCs in a moment, actually, but before that, I'd like to hear from Sonam. Could you tell us a bit about the ICT in education initiatives in the ROI University of Bhutan? How similar or different is it from the virtual university in Pakistan?
Thank you, Christine. Ours is the very new concept at the ROI University as well as in the Bhutan, because with the grant from the World Bank in partnership with the Colombo University, we have launched the virtual learning environment in the year 2011. So basically, it has been around approximately 2 years, and right now we are following the blended learning system where the most focus is on the campus-based students. So although the two colleges of Royal University provides distance learning courses to the very small groups of in-service candidates, and that one also the in-service one, and number is very less, and at the moment we're in the process of making that one to be, make sure that all the lecturers, all the students at least use the 30% of the virtual learning environment for their daily teaching learning purpose. But as I said that ours is rudimentary stage at the moment. So maybe in the future, or maybe in the years to come, we are making ourselves, putting an effort to make it fully online. So just now the back that is very simple for Royal University. We are just posting our courses in the form of files, words. Then we are using for simple forums like that only. We don't have the definite fully developed content to be delivered to the students. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'd like to talk a little bit about MOOCs now. There's been a lot of hype recently about MOOCs, or massive online open courses, where students are sharing their experience with 100,000 plus other students around the world at little or no cost, and they receive some sort of a certificate at the end of a course. But most of the, again, perspectives on MOOCs are coming out of the West, and I'd be interested to hear about what are the emerging perspectives in Asia related to MOOCs. Venki, would you like? Oh, okay. Anybody would like to tell us some of the perspectives that are emerging in Asia, related to MOOCs?
Yeah, Christine, this is something new. Like I like a bit of an introduction to the subject, because this is new to me. If somebody can give me a bit of a very briefly what it is.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Sure. Yes, please.
Okay. Well, the acronym, of course, stands for Massive Online Open Courses. That's where the MOOC acronym comes from. And the concept is that there are a host of Western universities, primarily in the United States, who are putting out full-fledged college-level courses available for free in the open environment for any and all knowledge seekers, okay, across the globe. So phase one, you can just log in, register, and go through a course on your own. You are free to interact with the community registered in the course, and that's where the difference comes in, that you've got essentially a student-to-student or peer-to-peer interaction happening, and these are all knowledge seekers. Once in a while, course staff may step in to guide a conversation, but by and large, it happens through the student community itself. In phase two, you can ask for a certificate, which is again for free, but does not carry any academic credit. In phase three, one course has been offered for a token sum of $150, in which case you would get actual academic credit, which would be valid for credit at any US university. So that's valid academic credentials. And finally, something that happened as recent as last week, Georgia Tech, which is a very respected United States university, has offered a full-fledged MS program in computer science for a paltry sum of $7,000 available to students across the globe. So starting with OpenCourseWare from MIT in 2001-2, all the way down to MOOCs of today, this evolution is gathering pace at almost breathtaking speed. I mean, 3 weeks ago, one would have thought, okay, so the MOOCs are there. Where's the business model? Is anybody going to make money from them? 2 weeks ago, along comes a $150 3-credit course from a US university. And a week ago comes $7,000 course, which is replacing essentially $100,000 worth of university cost, because a 2-year master's program would roughly run to $100,000. Now, in terms of content, it is, I've registered for a couple of courses and gone through them myself. The content, by and large, is very well designed, is very high quality. Sometimes it may not transplant directly into the Asian context because of the examples used in the courses. So one may use them as building blocks or stepping stones and design our own content for them. But the major difference is that it is a peer-to-peer learning experience, okay, not directly guided by the course staff, which actually sits on the side and just observes the proceedings. That is the difference. Just as an aside, I had an interesting conversation, of course, an e-conversation with Professor Richard Larson over at MIT. And I did mention to him that the fact that, for example, the Virtual University of Pakistan has been running courses with a class strength of, 10,000, 12,000 students at a time. So all of the freshman classes are common classes. And his tongue-in-cheek reply was, we sitting here at MIT and Harvard seem to think that we invented e-learning 2 years ago. Not quite true. And in fact, the Virtual University of Pakistan has been a MOOC practitioner for almost a decade. So it's not really new, but the fact that now we've got really global big names attached to the effort. Okay, so it is MIT and Harvard and Stanford and Berkeley, all of them coming on board and making their academic content available for free to a global audience. That is really a game changer. And universities are going to have to rethink their role for tomorrow. Because if the top professors and their courses are available for free online, what am I paying $50,000 a year for to the university? So the universities have to start rethinking what their role is. So I'm open for comments.
Thank you very much for that. That's a very nice explanation, and it's great. I mean, I like the idea, and this is really changing. I mean, this is a paradigm shift. Yeah, we are moving for a paradigm shift. I like to share a similar, but not to this level, similar experience from India, where the IITs and IISc Bangalore have got together to put the engineering. All lectures related to engineering students online, which they can use free of charge. But there is no certification process, so I believe this has gone to like far ahead of that. And again, it's great that the world-class university is joining the process. So this will basically change, I think, the education as we know. Like probably it's a milestone in the university education, like one of the revolutions happening.
Yes. Do we have any other reactions on MOOCs?
Hi. Right. Different organizations are now getting into the MOOCs arena. Aside from the North American providers, and the kinds of MOOCs that they're providing, that Stanford and company are providing, are among those who are in the know. They call this the X-MOOCs. Okay, the Coursera and Udacity types of MOOCs. These are X-MOOCs. Versus, for instance, the connectivist MOOCs, which were really the first MOOCs offered in the first MOOC offered in 2008 by people like George Siemens in Canada, were what you call the connectivist MOOCs. So on the one hand, you have the North American models. Recently, I think that the European Union, the European universities, have decided to offer their own MOOCs, their own version of MOOCs. They're marketing it using a particular label. I can't remember what it is exactly. They started out by talking about MOUS, which are massive open university-like courses, open courses, and then but I think they changed the name. My university in here in UPOU, the chancellor, who's the academic head of the university, is talking about offering something called MODEL, a massive open massive open distance e-learning course. Okay. The question, of course, for Asia is, including my university, is that how, if we were to join MOOCs providers, okay, we will need to think strategically in terms of what for courses in what, okay, should we be offering in, and who would be the takers of said MOOCs, right? We obviously won't be and shouldn't be competing with your big name North American universities. And part of the reason why those courses are so massive in terms of enrollment is obviously not just that they're open, but also that because they are offered by these universities, right, with these big name professors. So you have these large numbers of students who are wanting to enroll there. I wonder whether that would be the case if it were an Asian university that would offer a MOOC. How massive would it be? Whom would it be offered to? And you know, what's the competitive advantage, so to speak, of an Asian university or a consortium of universities, of Asian universities offering a MOOC?
Yes, because there's also various issues related to the language barrier, and especially because languages in Asia are so diverse, whether you'll get that mass of enrollment in these MOOCs. And I also believe that not all MOOCs are open, although MOOCs have come out of the open education movement, but not all MOOCs are necessarily open, meaning that they copyright their materials and they don't allow reuse and modification of those materials. So what does that mean for the Asia context? I mean, is this something that, you know, universities in Asia would like to move in this direction, or is the open education model more suitable for the Asia context?
Okay, I'd like to comment on that. You're very right in pointing out that the MOOCs are not really open all the time, in the sense that we probably cannot take and repurpose them for our use. Whereas the open courses, in terms of OpenCourseWare and other offerings, are available for reuse. And the primary use I've seen in Pakistani universities has been where they've taken a course from a big name institution, but a professor has then used all or part of that course in his or her classroom. Okay, so that's a very good use of the open resources available. And since the source material is already structured as a course, very little effort is required to induct it into your classroom. Now, the point that Patricia was making also, you know, is extremely important. One shouldn't just jump onto the MOOC bandwagon because it's there. I mean, we need to have a reason for doing so. What I'm saying is that, look, for example, the Virtual University of Pakistan had a decision to make in terms of what the visibility of its courses. Since we wanted to reach a wide audience, we were using broadcast television, and therefore we couldn't really prevent anybody from recording the courses and then using them on their own. So it was almost a no-brainer to say, look, make it open content. Okay, don't worry about the copyright issues. We retain the copyright, but we allow free use anywhere and everywhere. So in a way, we were we logically moved into OpenCourseWare space. Okay, so it's not necessary that the virtual university by design offered open courses. It was almost like we're doing our business as a university, we're providing education. But if in doing so other people can benefit, so be it. So instead of, you know, trying to design a MOOC, that's not our purview, and we shouldn't really worry about it because it's the buzzword of today. We should continue doing what we can. We should obviously get benefit from all of the resources that are out there, including MOOCs. And then if as a side benefit, it turns out that we become MOOC providers as well, so be it.
Okay, thank you. Right. So to wrap up this discussion portion of the Hangout, I'd like to hear from the panel any trends that you are observing in this area of ICT in education. So MOOCs may be one of them, and we had some discussion about it, but are there any other trends that you are observing, particularly in the next 12 months or so?
Well, I know there are some, like most of the things, I think we just see only the tip of the iceberg, and there are so many things happening. Because I was very surprised to learn in Shanghai a few months back about the online programs that they have. And some of these courses are being taken by millions of students, it's in a very, very massive scale. So basically, I think even in Asia there are so many things happening. We see only a part of it, right? There are so many initiatives.
Right. Any other trends?
Well,
Okay, a trend I can. Sorry, go ahead, Patricia.
I was just going to say that when we try and approach that question, we need to think in terms of levels of education. For instance, there are trends that are no more noticeable in basic education versus higher education. MOOCs is very much a higher education sort of thing. In the Philippines, in the basic education sector, one of the areas that are coming to the fore is one trend that is we have noticed in the past couple of years is the emergence of tablet computers as as a new device by which as a new ICT, so to speak, that is entering the schools as a way of it's essentially for providing content, access to not just open textbooks, but also to multimedia resources. And this is a major shift in the sense that the fact that they're more portable and more presumably cheaper or more cost effective will mean that theoretically they should be more accessible to more students and more schools, especially in the public secondary school sector. And also the use of tablets have implications for pedagogy. For you teach differently with tablets than if you were using desktop computers, I think. But exactly what the difference would be, these are things that are still being studied. And we're in the very early stages. I'm currently heading a project funded by AusAid, the Australian Agency for International Development, here in the Philippines, that involves the rollout of 1,000 tablet computers to selected grade 7 students and teachers in 9 public secondary schools for use in grade 7 science, mathematics, and English. So that's one trend that we're seeing in this part of the world.
Thank you. Dr. Malik?
Yeah, I had a comment about trends. So far we've been talking in terms of the provider and the consumer being different. One trend that you will notice in the coming 12 months, but it's now ongoing, is the fact that conventional universities are more and more using e-learning on campus. Okay, now this is interesting in the sense that it is being used to free up the professor's valuable time. And if they can pre-produce a course and make it available on campus and then just do office hours, they are finding that they can use their time more productively in pursuing research, in mentoring students, and doing other stuff rather than preparing for a lecture and going to class. And that is something that is happening. And this is e-learning coming into a conventional campus where the producer and the consumer are the same, let's say, logical entity, but the e part is becoming pervasive. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Sona, do you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to share for the next 12 months trends, especially in the Royal University of Bhutan, is we are planning to build at least 10% of the courses using the multimedia so that it can be rolled out to the students on campus base. So maybe by December this year, we will have at least 10% of the courses designed using the multimedia system. So these are the trends that we are thinking at the moment.
Thank you. Benjamin?
Christine?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to ask the group if, what they think about publishing companies producing digital contents. Is cooperation or competition the better way for the schools or the education sector in general?
Anybody would like to answer that?
In the Philippines, yeah.
Go on, Benjamin.
In the Philippines, we have different publishing companies, and we see more competition. So it means 10 different publishing companies, they are developing their own content, and we don't know yet if it's good or bad for this education sector. Or do you think cooperation is more beneficial to the public in general?
I think we need a different Google Hangout for that question.
Okay.
Okay, now let's, so this wraps up our discussion portion, and I'll turn to Suchit. If you could please share with us whether there are any questions or comments from the viewers.
Thanks, Patricia. Thanks, Christine. A couple of questions that have come in are on mobile. One is on mobile learning. What are some of the recent mobile learning initiatives in the different countries, and what are the results and impact of these initiatives?
Philippines, there are some mobile learning initiatives that you're working on in the university.
Saying that the funny thing is that mobile learning should have taken off by now, considering the ubiquity of the technology in my part of the world, and you know, also how big SMS is supposed to be here and so on. But I don't think it's really happening. There are attempts to provide mobile learning, but there's I don't know of any actual progress. Nobody seems to know exactly what to do with it. I mean, now perhaps there should be somebody thinking more about it, especially that mobile devices are now being used to access the internet, for example, right? I mean, it's not just for calls and SMS and things like that, but people, more and more people are using mobile phones to access the internet, which would therefore suggest that this is a means by which, for instance, access to open educational resources broadened, right? But there's a lot of informal learning possibly that's going on using mobile devices. But with respect to non-formal and formal learning, I don't know of any institution or group who is actively pursuing that area. And it's obviously something that we should all go into.
Thanks. Benjamin? Benjamin, you were saying something just now about UNESCO?
Yes, I was just saying UNESCO and UK are about to produce a publication that's coming out soon. They have captured the mobile learning initiatives around the world, but mostly they found out that mobile learnings are limited to literacy, empowerment of women and girls, and not so much in the formal education sector.
I see. Okay. Can we have maybe one more question, Suchit,
Sure.
before we wrap up?
So we're monitoring the Twitter and the YouTube sites to see what questions are coming in. So another question that has come in is, what are the new skills that teachers need to learn to meet the challenges of teaching today and in the future?
Related to the professional development of teachers.
Right.
Chinuka, have you been involved with training for teachers or the professional development of teachers?
Not really teachers, yes. Trainers, yes. I have been involved.
So do you have a comment on what are the new skills that teachers will need to learn to meet the new challenges of teaching today and in the future?
Well, I mean, in Sri Lankan context, I guess the teachers are not that literate in IT. So that's one big disadvantage that we have. So like we try hard to fill that gap, this IC literacy gap. Other than that, again, the language issue is also there, because they can understand English, but they can't express themselves in English. So most of the times it's local languages, and in a country like Sri Lanka, where we have multiple local languages, then again it's a bit of an issue of communicating between different communities. So those are the gaps that we find mainly in teachers. Like they are not very different from the students in that case.
So I have a question from a student, I think, which says, I'm interested in the progress in accreditation for online courses. Could the panel share any new developments that have taken place on this aspect in Asia?
I mean, the fact that, the Virtual University of Pakistan offers all courses entirely online and through electronic means, it does mean that there is an offering of accredited courses in the region. In fact, our students are sitting in more than 50 countries, including North America. But in terms of a single entity or standalone courses, I don't know if there's any such movement here. There is the initiative of the OER University that is happening in New Zealand, Australia, etc. But the accredited courses are going to come out of conventional registered universities. So any and all universities that have an online offering, in a way, will fall into that category.
Well, let me share the World Bank Institute has multiple course offerings, but still the accreditation is the problem, because you can follow a course at a nominal fee, but it's like they give a certificate, but still like it's not much recognized worldwide. I think they are addressing the problem. I too don't know, because most of the courses that we conduct are training courses. They're not really accreditations. Like I don't think there are many accreditation courses available for the Asia region.
Thank you. So I'd like to thank the panelists now for taking the time to share their insights and experiences with us. Also like to thank the viewers for watching and for the questions and comments. So the recording of this live broadcast will be available on the e-DIRAP YouTube channel, and there'll also be a written summary of the discussions today, which we will then use to update the education section in e-DIRAP. So this wraps up this monthly theme on ICT in education, and next month we'll be focusing on climate change and ICTs, and towards the end of the month we'll be doing a Google Hangout on the issue of climate change and ICTs. Okay, thank you again, and bye for now.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you.